Hello, I'm Mark. I'm a concept artist and illustrator working in the entertainment industry. And here I would like to demonstrate how you can easily create an epic landscape painting. So, in the very first steps, I just jump in and I'm creating a couple of thumbnails, like really simple black and white images, just to block in the main composition. I just went in and because I didn't really have any idea what I wanted to create. I just started to play around with basic values and slowly build up uh, the environment. So in case of an epic landscape, the main focus is to create huge depth to the image, and I wanted to create a fantasy landscape, so I started with mountains, and I wanted to focus on the mood of the image, and not necessarily the small details. So, and because I wanted to create more variations to choose from, these are really quick ones, and I'm really focusing on the lights and the shadows and the different space segments, just establishing the background, the midground, and the foreground elements, just to have the right values. The main principle is one of the main principles is of creating an epic landscape is to show scale, and there are a couple of tricks to do this. So if you place your horizon line really low, then you instantly gonna feel that everything is really big in the space what you're showing. So as you could see in the first two thumbnails I placed, and on it's gonna be the same on the third one. So I placed the horizon line in the lower third of of each landscape painting, and I have bigger horizontal lines and shapes under the horizon, and uh, and bigger vertical things, almost exactly the same things repeating further in the distance. So here, like these giant tree roots. In the first image, they were the hills and the mountains. In the second one, they were the huge, gigantic buildings. And because here I'm just bouncing ideas. So I spent like, I don't know, maybe 10-15 minutes with each thumbnail. I just basically went through like experimenting with shapes and basic compositions, just to have a variation of what I'm doing, of what I'm gonna do. Usually the clients don't see this thumbnail stage, so most of the times I'm doing thumbnails for myself in case of professional work as well, but I don't send these to the client. So these are just for myself, just to it's almost like the notes of a writer. So a writer makes notes before he starts a novel, just to experiment, just to bounce ideas in his mind. These thumbnails are the same, so I'm not focusing on the details at all. I'm just more interested in the overall composition, uh, the general values of the image, and just the main subject. So I'm exploring and bouncing ideas, and it's also good to keep these thumbnails black and white, because you're not distracted by the colors. So the less information you could have in these thumbnails, and I mean information like, don't use too much details. You don't have to worry about details. You don't have to worry about the colors. You don't really have to worry about the story. Just it's the base of the image. The I don't know, the skeleton, the body of the image. And yeah, I'm just showing, just checking them all the four together, and I let it rest for a day or two, and then I went back and I picked the fourth one because I've seen more potential in the fourth one. So I went back and I just started to jump into color straight. So I don't really like to leave the colors to the final stage. So I introduced more and more colors into this image. I used overlay layers, and I used for this mainly overlay and soft light layers. But you have to be careful with these because these two could really easily modify your values. So the best is to keep both the soft light and overlay adjustment layers around, I don't know, I mean the colors you use on these layers, just keep them around 50% saturation and 50% value, and this way you can avoid to create oversaturated images, and you can keep the values of your original black and white paintings. And here basically I'm just adding more details and extending everything a bit further. So I'm just painting in more clouds and rocks and adding more and more space segments to the image, just to make it more interesting and have a more intriguing silhouette in every space segment. So in this case, aerial perspective is a really powerful tool to create epic images, and that's the simple principle. What I'm using here is basically separating the different space segments with layers and layers of moist and air. And because I already plugged in the light source, what is somewhere behind the middle mountains, so I can now add highlights and shadows according to the lighting scene what I'm using. So here this is a really powerful thing. What I'm using is zooming really out, because if it works like a really small image from really far, if the composition works that way, then it should work as a big image as well. And now I'm established the whole composition, and I really wanted to push this a bit further. So, and I wanted to add more visual noise. So I collected a bunch of images from online, and I'm just dropping them from various jungles and aerial shots of forests and rocks and stuff like that. It's nothing really specific. I thought it just would be a good fit to the whole scene what I started to paint. So I'm using these more like a visual knowledge, just to push the amount of details further. So I didn't really want it to create a matte painting, but I wanted to create something like a concept of a matte painting. So, and sometimes I have to do this in my professional work, to create establishing shots for the effects artists and matte painters later. And this is a really handy technique of what you can use. And as you see, I don't care much about the lights, because I already established the lights and shadows and everything with my painting. So everything is, what I'm doing is just dropping a texture and erasing it back accordingly to to the hills, to the mountain sides. And here I pretty much finished this stage. This was basically the third stage of the process. The first was the thumbnail. The second was a more detailed sketch or a half finished painting, and the third one was texturing, and the fourth one, what I just started, is basically integrating the textures and give the painting the final look, the finishing look, what I was after. So I moved back and I'm basically painting over everything and integrating the textures into the image. And I don't really zoom in, as you can see. I don't really like to zoom in to my images. Sometimes I have to, but I prefer to do this only at the focal points where I want more details and more really sharp things to happen. But otherwise, I prefer to see through the whole image. It's probably because I'm coming from a traditional art background, and there you don't really have a chance to zoom into your images that much as you can in a computer. But oh, here we go. I'm just jumping back with a bit more texturing to that mountain temple, what should be the focal point. But that again, or just adding some visual noise just to have a base to paint on. And then here I'm going back and adding more details with some texture brushes. And yeah, the image is pretty much finished now. So what I'm doing is just adding the final bits and pieces here and there, adding a bit more painterly, rough lines and splotches of paint. And this is the fifth stage, the really final stage, where I usually I'm adding effects like clouds and fog and dust and things like that. This is what brings more life into my images. And it also gives the image a really cinematic, a movie-like look, because and the image is pretty much finished, so I'm just made some final color adjustments and detailing the focal points just a bit more, adding some windows, some flying birds to finish it, some final color adjustments and contrast adjustments, and it's ready. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you learned something.